Society needs a new contract with digital technology, and this is what G20 leaders can do about it at their next summit. These are some remarks that I originally made at the Values 20 summit in Bali on the 21st of October 2022. The Values 20 is a G20 engagement group, which is a formal organization that gives outside perspectives and solutions to G20 policymakers. 2022 was my second year participating as a delegate, making a policy recommendation, and my first as a task force co-leader. The goal of our task force was to make the values of justice, responsibility, empowerment, and inclusivity aspirational and tangible in pursuit of the G20 mission to increase peace and prosperity. My chapter in the V20 Communiqué, delivered to G20 leaders and policymakers, is titled Digitalization Fair Process for Empowerment, Justice, and Responsibility. This paper addresses a growing challenge with digitalization and provides concrete policy measures to increase the benefits of digitalization. We assumed giving nearly everyone access to digital technology and the internet would empower and elevate society. However, we've yet to see the economic gains and benefits promised of digitalization. Instead, too few benefit so much at such cost. We have growing rates of suicide, depression, isolation, self-harm, addiction, division, misinformation, and radicalization throughout the G20, all with growing evidence of its cause: digitalization of media, education, services, and the economy. There's an urgent need to address growing digitalization harms to regain digital solidarity where responsibility and justice are carried more equally and fairly by all parties in society. As a precedent, there are financial treaties between nations that can bias to higher standards and fair outcomes. A values-led treaty can do the same for the fair balance of digitalization's benefits and costs to society. Through multilateral dialogue, we can make tangible and visible the invisible bits and bytes that are the material of digitalization. In the Communiqué, I propose 3 policy recommendations for digitalization across borders. Firstly, adopting fair process in multilateral policy development, dealing with digitalization through a legal mechanism called meaningful engagement. Secondly, a values treaty for cross-border digitalization. And thirdly, DD&H, a digital do no harm requirement when the bits and bytes of digital work flow invisibly across borders. Fair process is the central policy. It is born from the legal premise of procedural justice and the legal mechanism of meaningful engagement, where participation in a process is as important as the outcome. A lot of digitalization is done to people without their participation or even their consent. The recommendation is that when digitalization activities and policy cross borders, a legally required mechanism of meaningful engagement with the affected communities is required. The objective is that both fairness and to acknowledge responsibility that actors have for the benefits and harms caused by their actions. An auto manufacturer cannot sell a car in another country it knows will explode. Digital organizations like that auto manufacturer know from their business processes the harms their product can cause. These policy recommendations tilt digitalization back towards societal benefits and reduces the extreme harm we see on a day-to-day basis in all our communities. I invite your input, discussion, and continued building through connections. That is how we take up our responsibility for justice, empowerment, and inclusivity. You don't need to be an expert in digital technology itself, but we are all actors in shaping the outcomes of digitalization. I encourage you to learn more by reviewing the Communiqué and identifying how you can contribute to the development of policy in your nation, organization, and community. Let's grow and share the benefits of digitalization for all.